because I think on paper this Dallas Maverick roster, I think they can be really good. I do.
Hopefully.
It's too bad the basketball ain't played on paper, huh?
No, it is not. It's played on the court.
I just want to say one thing, because false consciousness bothers me a lot. It's bothered me historically. It's bothered me, when it happens with companies, that very often a person makes a decision and another person ends up taking the bare brunt of that decision.
Mm-hmm.
When I listen to Nico Harrison talk about this deal, many times when I've heard him, it feels like he's trying to force the words out of his mouth. It sometimes feels like, I don't know, maybe there was a really stupid person in the background sort of pulling the strings and pushing him towards this decision because they didn't want to pay Luka.
So you don't think this is his decision? You think he was pushed into it and now he's left to clean it up?
Okay, Cho. Can you think of one general manager in this league that has carte blanche or even the power to move a franchise level player with the marketability of Luka Doncic without the blessing of their owner? Forget blessing. I mean consent. Forget consent. I'm talking push. I feel like
the first guy to sign off, Penn. He can't do.
It's not even sign off. But the way this story has been presented, it's like, Nico Harrison went up to Adelson and was like, "Hey, pretty please, can we please trade Luka Doncic? I don't want to pay him." First of all, I don't think that's necessarily what even happened. I really don't. I feel like the Adelson family had some feelings about the Supermax, and I feel like they've been nudging at it for about a couple years since buying the team. And you can buy into the conspiracies and all that stuff. I'm just personally, I just feel like a very, very, very powerful and rich person is moving in the shadows here, making a move, and then a human being who is more front facing in the organization is taking the brunt of criticism for it. I'm not saying Nico Harrison is, or Jason Kidd or literally any other person who had a role to play in this decision is blameless.
Right.
But I'm just saying, I feel like if Nico is going to be a slur, let Adelson be a slur too.
Yeah, but my thing with that though for Nico is if I'm Nico Harrison, in the way things are looking, I got to get extra security detail. I can't even sit in my own seat. Look, Penn, if you make me trade Luka and I can't sit in my seat anymore, I'm telling the world I'm snitching. I'm telling. Like, no. I didn't want to trade Luka. They made me do it.
The reason I
you
say
got
this
to pay me handsomely under the table, Penn.
No, I understand what you're saying, Ox. It's just very often, I'm seeing Swiper on X, and he's talking about Calvin Booth. Always. Calvin Booth didn't want to sign this. Calvin Booth made this decision. Calvin Booth, this is your legacy. And it's just like, well, what if he goes to the Nuggets owners and says, we want to sign KCP, we want to sign Bruce Brown, and they're like, tough shit. We're not paying luxury tax. We're not paying this. Now, what you want Calvin Booth to do? But everybody's going to hate Calvin Booth. And it's like, well, you certainly weren't hating him when he won a championship, right?
Well, I'm only able.
We weren't necessarily hating on. We were calling Nico Harrison a genius, literally like 15 months ago. I feel like people want to forget that.
Yes, that was going on.
Yes,
he got it right.
Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington for damn near nothing. Now, I am not about to become the person who's going to come up here and defend Nico Harrison, because Lord knows I have my own gripes with that dude. But what I'm saying is, we as fans need to wake the hell up about how much ownership plays a part. Okay, it's not Sam Presti who didn't want to sign James Harden. That's not him. He didn't do that. It's the OKC ownership. It's ownership that doesn't want to go into luxury tax. It's ownership that don't want to pay the extra $4 million. And I feel like good ownership needs to be commended. Like Joe Lacob and those dudes like that ate into the luxury tax bill because they wanted to support their superstar. They're eating a huge risk in bringing in Jimmy Butler because they want to once again support their superstar. I feel like there are teams that have routinely paid the money. And if you want to do the math on what these teams are worth, When they start cribbing about, oh, we don't want to pay this player $4 million, $5 million, $6 million, and you see the valuation of these teams going up $100, $200, $300 million. I'm not counting anyone's pockets, but I'm like, yo, these owners are greedy as hell. And the ones that don't want to pay the luxury tax, and then they line up their GM or their coach to come out there and pay for their decisions so that fans can get mad at that. That to me is really frustrating. I feel
and while you at it, I want y'all to throw Pat Riley a little bell too. While you at it too, just real quick.
Well, Pat Riley has admitted mistakes. He admitted that he screwed up with Dwayne Wade. He admitted that he should.
Yeah, but D-Wade, I'm talking about these recent situations with Jimmy Butler and whatnot.
Well, and I do understand that, but to Penn's point, well, two things. Number one, not just these GMs in the league today. Since I've been watching pro basketball, Penn, since I've been around pro basketball, there has never been a time when the 25-year-old superstar has gotten moved. That I don't ever remember that happening ever in all my days. He's gotten traded. That has never happened. That's number one. Number two, Oklahoma City in 2012, 2013, when they offered James Harden that contract, and he didn't pass. He just took some time to think about it. They ended up trading him. Just so you guys know, Oklahoma City at that time saved $30 million on the cap. Now, Oklahoma City at that time, I think they were the 41st sports market in America at that time in 2012. And $30 million in Oklahoma City in 2012 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So I'm pretty confident that Sam Presti wanted to keep James Harden, but he probably got a nudge from ownership that, you know, what we're going to have to pay him, even though they did end up paying Serge Ibaka, what we're going to have to pay him, what we're going to have to pay Serge Ibaka too. It might be a little bit much for us. Now, this all goes away. All of this goes away within the next 3 years if the Dallas Mavericks win it. This all goes away because winning gives everybody amnesia. The fact that Luka got traded, the fact that they moved on from Luka, all of this goes away. And especially if Anthony Davis and Derek Lively and Kyrie Irving turn into what Nico Harrison thinks that they're going to turn into, all of this goes away.
It's not going away. It won't go away.
That's just being too emotional. If they win championships and people are still upset, then that's too bad.
Yes.
We don't got time for all these emotions in business and sports and whatnot.
Yeah, well, humans have emotions, so
right.
It's always going to be a factor, whether we like it or not. It's the player choice way. Yeah, them boys don't get it started. The player choice way. You're the player choice way. Come and switch lanes into the player choice way.